And we see some trends moving away from physical software. It only accounted for 10% of all US video game content spending in 2019 across console, portable, PC, cloud, all these aspects. And then you have to mention mobile, because obviously mobile's not going to be physical. So what this tweet is sort of saying is that there is a trend moving away from physical. It may not be as astronomical as 10%, because mobile's strapped alongside, but there is a trend. I feel we saw Walmart earlier this year and last year selling out all of their physical copies in the US of these video games. So I feel like coming into the future, and you know what, it may or may not be, but I do not think PS6, Xbox next generation, Super Switch 2, those things will have discs or cartridges. I think they'll be all digital, but we'll see. We'll see.
I think they'll still be digital on the PlayStation side because they're a Japanese company. But it's a very skewed, I've made these stats to prove my point type of tweet. Oh, we're moving to digital only because only 5% of people, only 10% of people are buying it. They've thrown mobile in there. You cannot get physical media of a game on mobile. And you've got all of these freemium type titles where you download the game for free and you pay small microtransactions within it to get new stuff. Genshin Impact rakes in billions upon billions of dollars per year. And Genshin alone would outstrip spending of physical just from its microtransactions. That's the sort of skewed level we're looking at with these stats. What I have seen in stats in recent years is that, and again, we're slightly out of date. This one's looking at 2019 that you've got up on screen here. The stats that I have are from like 2020, and they're for Japan and UK, Europe. Here in the UK and Europe, we've got a Brexit split on buying digital physical. So digital is like a 48% market share, and physical is a 52% market share, but that's only taking console into account. So that doesn't throw handhelds in there like the ROG Ally or the Steam Deck, which came out, like Steam Deck has been out since about 2019. So again, that can only get digital copies of games. And PC has been digital only for a long time. There's certain games that I've still got the discs of for PC that I would love to play, but no one has a PC with a disc drive that I could go and plug it into, sort of thing. But console sales, it's very much a Brexit split here in the UK and Europe, that 48-52. Then if you go over to Japan, they're doing 60% physical sales, and it's growing. In 2024, physical sales in Japan have actually been growing. So this is very much a case of someone has made a stat to prove their biased point. And it is a complete stat, don't get me wrong, but it's touting a fact of, oh, digital's way overtaken physical, not taking into account that they've thrown mobile phones in there, which there are more of on the planet than people. So how's that going to work with all of the other stats combined? Of course it's going to be
absolutely. There is definitely, we see here a trend of physical copies being sold in Japan, tons of physical, like magazines. People still eat up the physical in different markets. It's simply, I think the US may be moving away from that digital purchases. Going back to the stat, what I missed here, and it's my bad. In 2023, this percentage fell to under 5% for physical purchases accounted in gaming for the US. So perhaps it's a situation of the US is moving away from it while Japan is moving in the other direction, and England is kind of in the middle. But we'll see.
Don't worry.
It ends up.
We'll have a divorce with physical that nobody actually wants. That's how we'll go. Like the 48% will somehow not get their way. It's like nearly half of us will just be screwed overnight or something. Yeah, that's how it'll go in Britain. We'll have a divorce with physical that nobody wants. So that's how we tend to do things.
All right. Maker of Chaos says Chris during even said box physical sales were down 45% in the UK. SPG says high quality, higher details, and smaller experiences are needed for the industry. Absolutely. Matt also said today that compared to physical sales are down 37% despite gaming revenue increasing 25% at the time. But I think the issue with the stat is when you include mobile. I'd love to see a stat that isolates mobile, because nobody's buying a physical game for a mobile device. And people are buying physical games every single day en masse.
I think
so many devs are launching onto this platform.
Yeah, and I think next generation needs to look at the media as well. Like, we've seen that discs degrade over time. We've got discs now that aren't lasting 10 years. And I love to have the physical edition because I love to pop that disc in at any point in the future and play the game, regardless of whether the servers are online or not, sort of thing. But we're getting to a point where that physical media is being extended. Like, how many discs did Final Fantasy VII come on? How many discs did Baldur's Gate 3 come on for PlayStation? We're talking like 2 and 3 discs a piece here. And this is a current gen console that we're not even halfway through the lifespan of. So there needs to be a change in the physical media moving forward. And I do think Nintendo actually have that right with the cartridges. You can put a terabyte, or you can put 2 terabytes on a really small cartridge, plug that into the front of your console, because it would work the same as like a micro SD card in a super high-speed camera. I can see that working really well. But yeah, there needs to be a change in physical, and if we do all go towards these cartridge-type ideas or micro SD card ideas, then more devices could have physical options as well.
I want to bring up that Maker brings up a good point, saying regardless of mobile, physical revenue being down 37% is not a great trend for the future. So I will highlight that and say,
again, that's only the US.
Yeah,
that's one country out of 195 in the world, but they don't matter that much. So it's an interesting stat. It is worrying for the US market.
Right.
But compared to the rest of the world, it is kind of a nothing stat. It's one of those. It's you have to take these things in context. And as much as the US is an important market for a lot of these people, it's not the only market. And if it starts failing, they'll just move to a different market where it's not failing. So yeah, it's interesting stats, but not the be-all and end-all. That there's a lot more to put into the pot to get a true reflection.
Well, we have two sides of the coin here. The Oregon champions physical forever, and I think physical will it'll be digital only but I'm more of a minimalist. I don't got space for all the games, and I don't trust myself to keep them super clean in and out of the thing.
I've seen your desk. Yeah.
You've seen my desk. Houston, the only bit I have against physical is the fact that you get it and you still have to download like a 5 to 20 gig file system on your thing. Yeah, that is true. There is a always digital aspect to the physical. I remember even God of War Ragnarok had to do a big download because my PlayStation came with a God of War Ragnarok copy. But yeah, they work together, so maybe they will always stay together. If anything, we're just taking guesses in the wind.